Good morning, Beaumont. Well, as you may have heard already, in England, they've decided now they're going to outlaw swords. Yeah, this is pretty interesting, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that from a common sense point of view. First of all, they used to have a real problem with gun crime in Houston, so they outlawed guns. And the crime rate didn't go down, it's just they started using knives, and now I guess they're using swords in England. Here's the thing that it's really critical for you to understand. And of course, you being a Texan, you probably already understand this, but I have to explain it anyway because we do have a lot of non-Texas people that are moving here to Texas, particularly in the Golden Triangle. So let me explain this to you if I can. If laws would solve the problem, there would be no crime. Because let's face it, we go back thousands of years to something that we know as the Ten Commandments, and it's simply this, thou shalt do no murder. Okay? Well, it's already against God's law to murder someone. So if laws solve the problem, there would be no murder. It also says in there that you shall not covet. And of course, by implication, that means you don't steal other people's stuff. These are two laws that have been laws going all the way back to pre-flood times. These are God's laws. And if laws solve the problem, there would be no theft and there would be no murder. The reason we have to have laws in general is because we don't enforce our laws. For instance, now when people steal stuff, they say, well, how much stuff did he steal? What? Less than $1,000? Well, I don't think that's really a crime. You probably just needed that stuff. So you, Mr. Merchant, you're going to have to eat that one. You're going to have to take that loss on your own because, well, we're not going to enforce that law against stealing your stuff. And what about killing people? What about maiming people? It's already against the law. But the problem is we don't enforce that law, do we? No. The police go to a great deal of trouble in many cases to arrest these criminals. They bring them in, and then a leftist commie judge says, oh, that poor little darling, he had a bad childhood, or he broke into this country and he just doesn't speak English very well, so how could he know that it was against the law for him to kill or rape that person or to steal their stuff? We're going to have to let him go. So, my friends, this is the sort of thing that's been going on for a long period of time. If laws worked, we wouldn't have any problems. And I've said this many times, why is a gun law of any value? Because good guys don't do bad things, and bad guys are going to do bad things no matter what the law is. A bad guy you can trust. He will always do the wrong thing. He will kill you, he will rob you, he will hurt you, but he's going to do the wrong thing no matter what. And if he can't get a hold of a gun, he'll get something else. He'll get a piece of rebar. So what, do we outlaw rebar? My point is, laws don't work. Gun laws are the most ridiculous things that have ever occurred to the idea of man, because the very idea that you can make it against the law to have a weapon, which is used 10 times more often to defend yourself than to commit a crime, the very idea that you can outlaw that weapon and solve the crime problem, that is stupidity beyond belief. So what does that say about even our Texas legislators? Because I can tell you that I, along with C.J. Grisham and a few other of my friends, Richard Briscoe comes to mind, we worked very, very hard to get some version of constitutional carry passed here in the United States. And for some of you new people, what does that mean? Well, the Second Amendment to the Constitution says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So that's what we tried to get passed here in Texas. Now, what we ended up with, well, it's not that good a law. It's got lots of restrictions and lots of moving parts, and it's going to be found probably unconstitutional somewhere. I don't know. I've always said the best way to solve the problem in America is to legalize the Second Amendment to the Constitution. That's right, just make it legal. It's already against the law to kill people. It's already against the law to hurt people. It's already against the law to steal our stuff. We don't need any more laws. In fact, most of the laws we have should be repealed. What we need to do is to arrest criminals. And when we arrest criminals, we need to punish them to the fullest extent of the law. If we do this, then the crime problem will abate. Now, there's another aspect of this, and it's the spiritual problem, the heart problem, if you will. We have to have people that love God and love people. Where does that start? Well, that starts in the church. That was why it was so important to the leftists when they created the Department of Education, and particularly Lyndon Baines Johnson, the guy who was responsible for getting JFK killed. That's why it was so important to them to say, well, you churches, you can't talk about politics. Unless, of course, you're a black leftist church, in which case, then you can talk about anything you want. But the point is, the church has to step up. The silence of the pulpit is deafening. We have got to start young. We got to start in Sunday school. We got to start with your 3-year-olds. And we've got to teach them God's laws and engrave them in their hearts. They've got to know that life is sacred. And if we don't teach them that at the age of 3, they're going to grow up and be young thugs, and then all the gun laws in the world aren't going to solve the problem. Or in the case of Britain, where they decided that they're just going to outlaw big knives. We just finally got it here in Texas where you can carry a big knife. And guess what? Murder hasn't been a problem. But the Church of England is dead. And the Church of the United States is headed down that same path. So you need to ask your pastor, why are we not preaching about some of these things? Why are we not trying to instill in people's hearts the fact that God's laws, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt do no murder, more specifically is the way that it should be translated, that God's laws are more important than any of man's laws. And we need to understand that passing more gun laws and passing more knife laws, none of this solves the problem. We have to fix the heart problem, and that's where the church has to be responsible. Now, I know there's a lot of churches out there that have some questionable people in them. I've run into it in my family. Nonetheless, the church is where this starts. And I trust the church, by and large, more than I trust the government under any circumstances. I love Donald Trump. I love Elon Musk. I pray for them, and I pray for their safety. But they are not God. There's only one God, Yeshua, the mighty God in Christ, which is the only physical manifestation of the invisible God that you will ever likely see. So, we need to instill these laws in our hearts, and that comes back down to the church. And secondly, you need to tell your politicians, and this starts with your city councilman and your mayor, you need to tell them that passing more laws isn't going to solve the problem. We have to start enforcing the law. And if we don't enforce the law, it's not going to get any better. And then you need to go to your clergymen. You need to go to your pastors. And maybe you need to step up, young man. Maybe this is part of your job, your future. You need to step up, and we need to start preaching the power of the gospel. And that will solve a lot of these problems. Now for our newest sponsor, Craziness Creations. Craziness Creations. And you can find that at crazinesscreations.etsy.com. crazinesscreations.etsy.com, or you can just search in any browser for Crazy Nest Creations. These are my friends Brian and Christina, and they are designers, and they've got some incredible coffee mugs and t-shirts, including the new Gulf of America t-shirts and Gulf of America coffee mugs. Some great pro-Trump stuff. These guys moved here from New York City because I told them Texas was the place to be. So I'm asking all of you to support their business. crazinesscreations.etsy.com. Just go there and get whatever you want. Some of the prices on this stuff are amazing. In fact, right now I saw the Gulf of America shirt on sale for like $9. So get yours today. crazinesscreations.etsy.com. He'd get on stage and he'd take this big sledgehammer and he would smash like watermelons and cantaloupes and stuff like that. Just make a heck of a mess. Anyway, I recall that when Ronald Reagan was talking about reducing the size of government, and Ronald Reagan said, we're going to get rid of incompetence in government. And Gallagher asked the prescient question, well, where are these people going to work? Because he recognized most of these people were inept to the point that they really couldn't work on any sort of job. Well, meanwhile, over at FHA, the home mortgage operation run by the government, Miss Lopez Lozano, 38 years old, went live on Facebook while she was driving by Freddie Mac's building where she had been fired. And she said she was going to blow the place up. And so that's what she intended to do. Drove by the place twice, Facebook Live, threatening to blow the place up. It is unclear what prompted her threats, and the police have not released any additional information about her motives. But former Freddie Mac CEO Diana Reed, who recently left the company, along with members of the board at Freddie Mac, FHA, and their sister company Fannie Mae, were recently replaced. And some of the employees were recently placed on administrative leave, while others have had their jobs eliminated. So apparently she was fired, and she was very, very upset about this. Her full name is Maria del Carmen Lopez Lozana, and she said, I'm going to blow up everything in Freddie Mac right now so you'll know this is real and not fake. Just give me a few more minutes and I'll blow up this MF building at Freddie Mac so people will know this is real and not fake. My question is, how does someone that's this unbalanced ever get a job working for the government? She later on went live, said she claimed she'd been rehired and promoted to the FHA finance agency. So I don't know. It's craziness. But the point is, you cannot continue to operate government at this way. And it really comes down to this. Yeah, we're shutting down government. We're getting rid of a lot of people. But these people are inept. They have no job skills. They have no social skills. Where are they going to work? That's the question you have to be asking yourself. So just absolute nuts. Thank you guys for being part of the show today. Don't forget we have a live show every day. And also, I should mention, well, it's not actually live. I'm pre-recording this. But I should also mention every Saturday we do a full 1 hour show, and it's loaded with fun stuff as well as facts and information that you should have. So tell your friends, get on Freedom 1300. Get on there today and share this on Facebook. And like and share everywhere that you go.
You have a choice, and you chose Freedom 1300.